Hello, everybody. How's it going? I'm Alexander, here with David Booth today. We are back with Car Tours, the show that covers uh, cars, drivers, and celebrates the drivers. I'm really excited for it. So, in this episode, we have one of the most famed writers on Driving.ca, known for his motorcycles, his hot takes, on the auto industry. I'm really excited for this show today, guys. And you already have some comments rolling in. Clayton's already here asking why is the guy in the thumbnail riding a pizza delivery motorcycle? But let me get back to it. Today we're interviewing David Booth. He's gonna give us a tour of his garage. He's gonna give us a tour of his motorcycles, and we also have a surprise for you guys as well. A sweet treat, if you will. So I'm excited. David Booth, how are you?
Doing good. And so, for all the people out there, my name's Dave Booth. I'm the senior writer for Postmedia Driving.ca.
Mm-hmm.
I've been the senior writer for about 25 years. The only job I've ever had is testing cars and motorcycles. I like to say I test cars for money and I spend all my money on motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just flipping over.
Yes. So real quick, I wanted to ask you.
Come on, be faster.
Ooh,
This
look at that
is going
beauty.
to be, this is my garage.
Yes. Give us a tour of your
So
garage.
look around you. So, guys, the first thing you need to know is my house, which has 3 bedrooms, is
Mm-hmm.
really a life support system for my motorcycles. If it wasn't for motorcycles, I wouldn't have a house. In fact, my perfect house would be a 1 bedroom apartment with a 3 bay garage underneath. Took what I could. I rebuilt this garage completely about 10 years ago. If you take
Mm-hmm.
a look, that's a professional sealed floor. I had the whole concrete done up,
Wow.
redone, sealed, epoxied. Cost me about $3,000. Uh,
Wow.
that's that's an oak chopping board turned into a table for working on motors and stuff. That's my one of my parts bins. I have another parts bin here. I'm running out of space in this one, so I've got another one I've got to put in. Right there, that's a Denisi airbag racing suit, which I'm testing. So instead
Wow.
of having the airbag in the motorcycle or in a car, you have to put it in the suit. So if I fall off a motorcycle at a racetrack, an airbag inflates within that suit. Okay. Down there, just my boots, except if you notice, there's an electric cord coming out of them. I'm
Mhm.
testing some electrically heated shoes so that and insoles so that I can stay warm in it was very cold recently. And here we have just a tire I'm going to be putting on my Suzuki here later. So I quite literally, I probably spend more time here than I do in my own kitchen or the rest of my house. Especially with the coronavirus, I've been in here basically the last 2 months doing projects.
What kind of projects are you working on?
Well, first off, this is a 1982 CB 1100 RC. It was never imported into Canada. There were about 4,500 of them, no, 4,050 made of them over 3 years. There are, I think, 3 in Canada, but I think mine is the only one that's licensed. And basically, it was rebuilt, I think, about 18, 20 years ago, but I've done little projects all over ever since. So, for instance, yesterday, I rebuilt the brake calipers completely, put new pistons in there, new seals, the fork seals, these things right down there were
Wow.
leaking. I found a really neat way of fixing them. It's called a Seal Mate, made by Motion Pro. It cost $7. It took 5 minutes to fix instead of
Mhm.
taking them all apart and spending $400. Save some money. You know?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So this bike gets the best of everything. It's got a rebuilt motor.
Mhm.
I've got a wireless battery monitor on it. I just hooked one in the other day, so always check that I've got the battery fully charged because I don't drive it as much as some of my other vehicles.
Well, you said you have to rebuild the motor. Why did you have to do that?
Well, it's 37 years old. No,
That's 37
38
years
years.
old.
That's 38 years old. That's a 1982.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Well, keep it in
yeah.
great shape,
And
man. Without a doubt.
the paint's 19 or 20 years old since I fixed it.
Wow.
So it's yeah. And it goes really, really good. I got all manner of little projects. I did to get ready for the season. I had to do the valve adjustment. I actually perfected the ignition timing because I have a computer controlled ignition system that I put on, and I designed the ignition curve and everything else. Like I'm a geek. What can I say? Okay, I'm a gearhead. It's just
Yeah.
2 wheels instead of 4, dude. It's just 2 wheels instead of 4.
All right, so let's take some audience questions real quick. Where should I start? I'll start with Jacob here. So, did you clean up just for this question? Is that for me, or is that for Dave?
I actually did clean it up somewhat. It has been cleaner, but I've got so many projects going on the go, so I had to clean it up. If you take a look over here, for instance, that looks like a full tabletop, right? Each one of those boxes is a separate project. So,
Okay.
for instance, this is my electrical wiring project. This is my tune-up for the Suzuki project. This is my forks for the Honda project. Each one of the projects that I have to do or have done recently is all labeled in there. So, yeah, it's been cleaned up a little bit. Good God. I'm on camera.
You got to clean up when you're going on camera, right?
You got to do it.
Most definitely. Next question. Can you give us some honest opinions and reviews on riding a bike in Ontario? I think he's saying talking our weather, insurance rates, and safety into account. Being a car guy for years and looking to get into motorcycles.
Well, the first thing I will say about riding a motorcycle, okay, is beyond the safety aspect, take a lesson, take a course. Don't go out and try to do it. The penalty, I don't sure that riding a motorcycle is more difficult than driving a car, but the penalty for errors is greater. So safety is the first thing. The second thing is what you've got to realize. Everybody says, I got to get the perfect motorcycle for me. Motorcycle doesn't matter nearly as much as having the right gear. I can tell you, I was riding. I just got back from Montreal last week. It was 5 degrees Celsius and raining, and I was perfectly comfortable. I mentioned that I'm testing those electric boots right down, electric insoles. Well, I have electric pants, I have electric vest, and I have electric gloves. Okay, plus I have a rain suit. So with all that equipment, I can go out in the worst weather and be perfectly comfortable. And I can tell you that is much more important in the long run than how many horsepower or whether you've got the latest high zoot tire or whatever you want to say about on your motorcycle. Buy the right gear, get the right training, then think about which bike you want to buy.
Got you. Okay. You said in any weather. So would you ride your motorcycle in the snow?
I'd ride it in pretty much any weather. I got a friend who has the same bike as my Suzuki, who rides all year long from Port Perry into Toronto. That's January and February. I don't. I ride with my electric suit right down till about 2 or 3 degrees after in November, and then I start as soon as it gets past 3 or 4 degrees in April. I'm more worried about ice than getting cold when in the winter. My friend is any day it doesn't snow, he takes it. He's only driving on the highway, so it's a bit safer. I think he's a bit crazy personally, but I drive at least 8 or 9 months of the year, somewhere between there.
Awesome. Webby asks, do you have any bike school recommendations?
I don't, because I've had my license now, and I'm revealing how old I am. I'm 63, 47. I've had my license 47 years. So, it's been a little while since I took a bike school. So I'll be honest, I don't. If If somebody is in Montreal, my friend Costa Mouzuris, who works for Post Driving,
Mm-hmm.
also Post Media Driving, also teaches at a school, and he'd be a great person to contact. There's
Mm-hmm.
also a school in British Columbia, Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
run by a guy named Noah Kitteman, and he
Mm-hmm.
is a very, very, very good instructor as well. Here in Toronto, I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay. I just want to remind the audience real quick. The question of the day today is: would you buy a motorcycle? And if you were to buy one, what motorcycle would you buy? I would like to know from you. Comment in the comments on the right hand side, as well as in the comments below. Even if you're not watching this live, we'd still like to know. I'm still going to check up on the comments as well and let you have your feedback heard. So yeah, comment. Moving right along. Did you give us a tour of the motorcycle in the back as well? I want to see that guy.
Yeah, yeah. Responding to the question, which motorcycle? That's
Mm-hmm.
it. That's actually only 2 years old. It's a Suzuki V-Strom. Most people buy it because it's fairly cheap. I
Mm-hmm.
buy it because it's the largest displacement adventure touring bike that's lightweight and reliable. You can get bigger and faster ones, but they're heavy, or you
Mm-hmm.
can get lighter ones, but they're unreliable. I bought it because
Mm-hmm.
of that. I've done a lot of upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
It's got $3,000 worth of a suspension on it. That's the rear shock right in there. The forks have been done as well. I've got, if you let me walk around, because the garage is small, I've
Uh-huh.
got a bunch of lights on it. Those headlights have all been changed from halogen to LEDs. Those are LED driving lights, and
Oh, wow.
those little things are the first laser lights, lasers, not LEDs, that you can buy aftermarket for a motorcycle. Those are laser lights. You should see them. They could beam some light out half a mile. I could
Wow.
see a beaver 2 miles down the road. It's unbelievable.
So, all right. So, what's the difference in price from like a regular set of lights versus those laser lights? And like, is
Well,
it is
I
it
mean,
worth the price increase?
no, not really. I'm just playing. I mean,
Yeah.
I got to do something with my time, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're $500 US a piece.
Mm-hmm.
I got to play with something. You know what I'm saying? I got wrenches. I got a garage. I got to play.
All right. We have one comment from Webby here saying we want to hear the engine roar. Let us know. Can you hop on and turn on the engine for us?
I can't. The key to that one is here. So, well, here's a little thing. You
What's
see
up?
this? This is
Mhm.
the Suzuki. It's
Okay.
got its key.
Okay.
The Honda, and
Yeah.
it doesn't sound that loud, has no key. There's a very deliberate reason for that. If somebody breaks into my, God forbid, breaks into my garage,
Mm-hmm.
I want them to see the Suzuki with the key and think, oh, this will be easy, and not take the Honda, because I can replace that bike. I can't replace this bike.
Yeah. No. 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 That's definitely a
Yeah,
work of art.
neither one of them makes much noise. I've got to tell you, neither one of them makes much noise.
They're more.
So
They're more of a smoother ride when you
yeah,
started out.
smoother ride. I don't buy the aftermarket exhaust. Now, mind you, this one was the fastest motorcycle in the world in its day. In
Really.
1981, I believe,
Yeah.
this won every race it entered in the entire world. In the
Wow.
entire world. Yeah, yeah,
What's
everyone,
this?
every single race.
What's this acceleration like?
Hey, for an old bike, it's
At
really,
the
really
time,
good.
at the time, it was good. So
At the
like,
time,
I'm not saying it's
at
a,
the
it's
time,
a anything
at the
like a
time,
competing
it
to
was good.
Tesla or anything.
Now, here's the interesting thing,
Yeah.
okay?
Uh-huh.
And this is for the real bikers out there. This was the hottest motorcycle. This was the Suzuki GSXR of its day, okay?
Mm-hmm.
About
Mm-hmm.
3 years before the first Suzuki came. This was the hottest bike, okay? Now, I've got it 30 years later. I go riding on it. It's super comfortable. I use it for touring. I've done 1,600 kilometers in a single day on this bike. Now,
Really?
yeah, sure. Now, just to point you what the difference is, the most pure sports bike of the day is
Mm-hmm.
now a sport touring motorcycle of today,
Mm-hmm.
and that points out how radical motorcycles have become. Like I'm too old. I can't sit on a modern Yamaha R1. I mean, it'd break my back in 20 miles. I can go for 10 hours straight in the saddle on this one. And
What's
this
the difference like between that and?
oh, the handlebar. You see where the handlebar is here? It'd be
Yeah.
down here. It'd be down here on the
Oh,
on
it's
a
too far
modern.
down.
Oh my! I got a bad back. I could not deal with it.
You and me both.
Yeah.
You and me both, man. Awesome, awesome. And so one thing that stood out to me was like the airlift in your garage as well. Could you talk to us about like
Well, I
using
mean, I'm
that?
old. Like I just said, I got broken lumbars. So I have a air compressor right there, and
Yeah.
then I've got a pneumatically operated lift. So when
Jesus.
I want to do work on the ignition timing right here, I
Mhm.
pop the bike up right here, and I don't have to bend over. You know what? I have a bit of money, but I have a bad back. What more can you do? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you might as well do this. And just to make sure that the bike doesn't fall down when it's up in the air, I've
Beautiful.
got one stand there, and I've got a race stand here. I mean, that thing, I don't even have to tie this down. It's secure as all get out.
Most definitely, most definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, okay. All right, guys. Well, Webby has put Webby's coming one more time. Now people know what to steal if they break into the house.
Hey, dude, get off this bloody YouTube. Get off, come to my house. Come to my house. You'll see my gun collection too.
Oh.
Dude, you're not
Touche.
taking this one over my dead body.
Touche.
Listen, I've got, besides this bike, I've got probably about $15,000 in parts for it. In
Wow.
here, for instance, I'll open this.
Yes.
That is a 1982 Honda CB1100R. I've had it
Okay.
for 20 years.
20 years.
It's been very reliable. In there somewhere, I've got 6 rebuilt starter motors. I've never had to replace a starter motor, but
Why?
I keep on buying them just in case
Yeah.
I have to replace the starter motor. You ever wonder how people get big collections of stuff and they die at 87 and they go through your yard and their basement and they got all this stuff? This is how you do it. I've got multiple batteries. I've got multiple air filters. I've got spares for everything but the frame.
Okay.
So this is a commitment. This bike isn't going anywhere ever.
Most definitely, most definitely. All right, so now let's move on to the surprise we have for everybody.
Yes, and in fact, I was just about to mention it, Alex. I've got another appointment in about 5 minutes or 3 minutes, but I'm going to go out and show you what's going on. I'm going to hide it for a minute and point to the floor. Sorry, guys.
Awesome.
Here goes the
Build some
garage.
suspense. Nick asked, David, are you a hoarder in denial?
Only about motorcycle parts. I care about nothing material possessions. Okay, guys.
Woo!
This is the shit.
Oh. Looks like you're breaking up there a bit. But yes, we definitely want to surprise you guys. And we have one of the newest Porsches.
Not going this far. Maybe it'll be better outside.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
2021 Porsche Turbo, a 911 Turbo S, 640 horsepower. That's up, I think, 70 from last year.
70.
And there's 590. Yeah, 70 more than last year. And it's got 70 pound-feet of torque. I've got to tell you, turbos have always been fast. The 911 Turbo always fast. This one is quite spectacular. It actually feels from a stop like an electric car, like a Tesla Model S or even Porsche's own Taycan. Immediate is so. It is.
Ooh, seems like you're breaking up a bit. Guys, if you have any questions for the Porsche, feel free to put them in the comments as well.
Anyways,
Nick asks, "Is me breaking up?" We'll give you a second to try and get back on the line. You might have to back up a bit. in order to
Yeah.
get back on the Wi-Fi.
I might have to back. How's that? How's that? How's that?
Perfect. Yeah. You got
Is that
a
better?
Wi-Fi fence, is what it looks like. Yeah, we've hit the fence. Most definitely.
Eh,
So keep going though. You're
Yeah.
telling us about the Porsche.
Anyways, yeah, it's fast. I haven't had a chance to test it, as I said.
Mm,
There's too many cops on the road, too many crazies attracting the cops. A horse like
mm,
this would be just a red beacon for a speeding ticket. But I can
mm,
tell you that off the line, it feels like an electric car. And then
mm,
as it gets going, it feels even faster than an electric car, because electric cars, of course, are fast right from a standstill and taper off as they go forward. This one, the word for it is relentless. Once it
relentless.
goes, it just seems to never want to stop. It's like even at 100 miles an hour, it feels like it would just keep, going past 200, well past 200. It just feels so indomitable. And it's really quite amazing. It's. I didn't think that they could make that much of an improvement to the Porsche Turbo already, and
Mm.
this one is that big improvement. So, if you've got a spare $230,000, go for it, guys. Go for it. Seriously, anybody out there, can't afford a LaFerrari?
Hmm.
2021 911 Turbo S is pretty darn good.
So George Matthew asks, can we hear the Porsche start up and exhaust rev? You can attempt
Jesus,
to,
I'd have to go.
but it's the Wi-Fi,
I'd ha-
so you
yeah,
can try.
the
You can
Wi-Fi's
attempt.
not gonna make it. I don't have the key on me. I'm sorry, big guy. I tried to think of
Ooh.
everything, but not that.
All right,
Yeah.
we can do a
All right.
follow-up.
You know what? This is my first YouTube live. So to all the people out there, I will get better next time. Okay.
You're doing pretty good. You're doing a good job so far. All right. Well, working towards wrapping up here. Um, is there anything you'd like to? Is there anything that we didn't cover for the audience?
No, no, I don't think so. Other than this is the best current bike in the world, and that's the best old bike in the world, and I got both of them. I'm a lucky man.
You definitely are a lucky man. For the comments, for the audience, is there anything else you'd like to
Oh,
ask as we work towards wrapping up? Go ahead. Go ahead, David. Were you saying something? Looks like he's breaking up a little bit.
can I say something? One last thing before I to go off. I've been doing this job testing cars and bikes for 40 years now. Or next year it'll be 40 years. And
Hmm.
I got to tell you, I'm the same as everybody on the other end of this, or I was the same as everybody on the other end of this YouTube channel. When I was young, I read every motorcycle magazine. I perused TV shows. I followed people around on the street when they had sports cars. I just lived and breathed this stuff. And now I'm lucky enough that I get to do it for a living. I mean, it is literally a dream come true. Every morning I get up, I pinch myself in the butt to remind myself that it's not a dream. And I mean, all I can tell you is, if you've ever dreamed of having your ultimate job, it actually turns out to be just as good as you thought it would be. It really is.
That's a great note to leave on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for Driving.ca.
Thanks, Alex.
I'm Alexander. Have a good one. Cheers.
Thanks, Alex.